One of the best parts of my job is I get to meet people like the man on my right and wind up calling him a great friend of mine. He is a compadre from NFL Network, NFL Game Day Morning. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer and a Pro Football Hall of Fame individual. Marshall Faulk, good to see you, sir.
How you doing, Rich?
I am better for seeing you here in my studio, sir. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure.
What happens tonight in MetLife, do you think?
Oh, man. This will be an interesting one. I love what Todd Bowles has done with the Jets. And the question is, both of these coordinators like to get after quarterbacks, and both quarterbacks, they can throw the ball from the pocket and scramble. So I wonder, and I want to see, do you try to flush him left, or do you try to flush him right? Do you just play the game that they try to play with Russell Wilson, keep him in the pocket, make him be a pocket passer? But I believe, and we've seen it, the Tyrod Taylor, Sammy Watkins, if Revis can handle the deep end stuff, because we know he can cover the medium and the short, if he can handle the deep stuff, the Jets should win this game.
Now, you're sort of hitting on some of the whispers through the first 10 weeks of this season in regards to the man with an island, that there's a couple of bridges that can reach this island on and off, that Revis is not the Revis that the Jets once knew. Would you... What does the eye test tell you about Darrelle Revis?
You know, I would say that's the case, and also the rules. I mean, they are calling stuff. Revis was good with his hands, getting you in position downfield, and now a lot of those things are being called. Refs are throwing flags, and so there comes the opportunities for Sammy Watkins down the football field, and sometimes the pressure's not getting there. And so, Revis is sitting there. He understands the pressure situation. And oh, boy, I got to turn and run. Those situations, he's been put in those, and that's why people are saying that it's no longer an island.
Interesting. Ryan Fitzpatrick is someone you and Kurt know for a very long time.
Yes, Fitzy.
So what do you think of, I mean, there's no question he is a main reason why the Jets are above 500 coming.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. His play.
What do you think of, is he sustainable, though? Is he like a sustainable 16-week, year in, year out, for years type starting quarterback?
I don't know, Rich. And here's the thing. Are you looking for, do the Jets need a franchise quarterback? Or do you just start to look at him as he's our quarterback, we can win with him? It's one of those things, you know, you want to hang your hat on a guy, you want to have your Eli, you want to have your Aaron Rodgers.
You're Brady.
You want to have your Brady. But I believe you grow into that position. Brady wasn't always Brady. They didn't look at him as that guy until a couple of Super Bowls later. It was like, okay, this is our guy. Everybody, you don't draft him and he becomes the guy. So, and it's not about whether Fitz is intelligent enough. It's about, can Fitz resist the itch to, I can fit that one in there, or I can make this throw.
He makes Favre look gun shy.
Exactly, because it's like, the anticipation. I remember when Mike Martz Fitz would make a throw and he'd come back and Mike would ask him, what was the play, what was the read? He'd give him everything right. Well, why did you make that throw? Just thought I could. and that's
what
him.
He'd say?
Yes, I mean, he's not going to misdiagnose a defense. He's always going to understand where the trouble is, what the play is, what the objective is of the play. It's just that he believes in his talent so much that sometimes he wants to make that throw, and he hasn't been doing that lately.
He has. Marshall Faulk here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did you ever play for a coach returning to a spot that he used to coach? Did you ever get in that situation?
I believe we went to New Orleans when Jim Moore was in Indianapolis with us. So
what was that? What intangible does this bring to the table?
It was different because Jim, Jim got fired in New Orleans because he wouldn't fire his offensive coordinator. So people in New Orleans, they loved Jim Moore. I mean, me playing for him, growing up a Saint fan,
right.
I loved Jim Moore. So it was like, man, I get to play for Jim Moore. This is awesome. So it was a little different than And you know what? Maybe it's similar to what happened to Rex.
Jets fans, I think.
Maybe it's similar.
I
thinking
think
about
it is.
it.
Jets fans will welcome him back tonight. I know Rex is having his fun saying there'll be a lot of one-finger salutes his way.
Well, but that's just
true.
New York. It is true.
Well, New Yorkers will do that to anybody.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like, you know what, Rich? You remember when Andy Reid, Kansas City, we were in Philly.
Yes.
And they before the game, he came out, they stood up, standing ovation.
Yeah.
From then on, they booed him, did everything wrong to him.
That's
and
true.
that's just.
Tonight they'll give him an ovation.
Yes. They will give him his due for what he did the time he served there, the pleasure that that he brought to them. And then from then on, it's, hey, you're the enemy.
Yeah, then toe meets ball, and then,
there you go.
It's on. Let's talk about the other game in MetLife coming up on Sunday with Tom Brady and the Patriots coming to play the Giants. And we'll talk about it tonight. We'll talk about it on game day morning till the cows come home about how this is the kryptonite, right? This is the Eli Coughlin kryptonite to Brady Belichick. What about this Sunday?
I'm intrigued to see what happens here. The cast of characters are different on both teams. Four people remain, and that's Coughlin, Belichick, and Brady and Eli. And we're going to see. Listen, if Tom Coughlin wins this game, it puts him in this rare air of you start to talk about Belichick, and then you say, but when he faces Tom Coughlin, he can't win against him. That's what will start to happen. But it's almost hard to imagine. Every time I think about a team playing against New England, my first question is, so how are they going to stop Gronk? That's like...
There's no question. That's got to be the
question. And that is the question.
Well, how will the Giants... What do you...
I don't know. I mean, I want to see what... I don't know.
JPP clubs him, and then he gets past JPP, and then somebody blankets
wrong,
him.
Rich.
Was that wrong?
That is
Was
wrong.
that wrong? Well, I mean,
because
you got to hit him, right? You got to hit him. You can't let a free release. You can't.
But why you got to hit him with the club, though? that is wrong.
All right.
No,
I'm not going to take it back. But I mean,
you can. It's out there now.
It's out there now.
Right.
I know. But you got to. Oh, let me start. You have to chip him with whatever there is there.
I'll
right?
tell you this.
Okay.
If you are getting to Brady enough, then they are going to put Gronk in the backfield and have him chip and then release. That's what happens.
But do they have those horses though? Because in those two Super Bowls that we're referring to, you had four guys, Strahan and OC, right? And these guys were just putting their four guys fingers in the dirt or field turf and going to get Brady and getting his face, and you could get pressure up front, could get on the side. Do they have that right now? Okay.
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
So that's a different situation.
Steve Spagnuolo has to do a job.
Scheme his head off.
Yes, this is going to take his best coaching effort. Or better yet, have Eli just get in a shootout with them.
Now, did I hear you on NFL Game Day Final this week say the Bengals were going undefeated?
Undefeated.
I heard that.
Yep. That's the second time I've said it. And
you believe that?
I think that they can, Rich. Listen, so if you look at them, the undefeated teams. I see that they can win in all three phases of the game, regardless if their quarterback has a bad day or not. The other two teams, I don't think that can happen. If Tom Brady has a bad day, New England cannot win. And if Cam has a bad day, Carolina cannot win. But Andy Dalton can have a subpar day, and we've watched him have subpar days, and they've won games.
Well, I mean, it would help to get both of the running backs rolling, and that's a great way for me to get into this next question, too. What's happened with Jeremy Hill and Eddie Lacy this year, from what you've seen? Two guys who can run downhill and make people make business decisions, just essentially disappearing.
I am going to put it out there. I haven't talked to either guy.
Okay.
But I've seen this happen, and I'm going to say for a small part of a season, maybe a 2 or 3 game stretch, it happened to me. You kind of lose respect for how hard it is to have success in this game because it comes a little easy. And then you kind of have to rededicate yourself to not just studying your opponent, but studying yourself and working hard throughout the week so the things that you do, they come natural. And it just it doesn't look like they have the right reads because you watch Gio get in and he can run the same play, but for whatever reason, it works for him. And you watch Stark come in and he could run the same play that Eddie's running, and it's working for him. And that's when, it's like, well, is it mentally, when you're the starter, you start to think, okay, yeah, when the starter goes out, the defense just relax, okay, and then the backup gets. But it's not. I don't think that's the case. I think that they're not where they should be or where they were last year to help their respective teams.
Well, we'll get that theory tested in Green Bay because Eddie Lacy's the one coming in when the defense might relax in that situation because he's the two-punch of the 1-2 punch. But I'm curious, when was that in your career where you went through a 3-week stretch where things weren't going well because you were believing too much that it was going to come so
Probably
simply?
my third year. I mean, I came into my third year like, this is, when you win Rookie of the Year, you have an okay second season. Like, okay, this is it. Got off to a pretty good start, and then, I was I was missing reads, wasn't as sharp, and you just have to get back to all the basics in practice so the things in the game can, it's like you're not thinking about it because the reads it happens so fast. You have to make a decision so fast on, okay, here's where the play's designed to go. Is it there? Where do I go from there? If it's uphill, is it downhill? Do I go with it? It's a lot of things you have to process, and you can't be trying to process it in game only. You need to have reps at it in practice, and those reps, it's got to be live bullets.
So, in a way, you need to you have to rely on yourself because sometimes the coaching staff that it can change as well. And the thing that I want to bring up there is, how was it over the last couple of seasons on game day morning having to readjust when your segment producer joined the Rich Eisen show instead in Chris Brockman?
It was tough.
Was it?
Tough. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But whenever you have a loss, is next man up, and that's what we try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I definitely miss Brockman, but now I have an awesome relationship with Chris. I got another Chris Whitaker, and Whit's been great. Obviously, I believe Whit talked to Brockman about working with me.
Is that right?
Yep. And it's been, the transition. It's been good. It's been really well. But definitely he's missed.
Yeah.
Brockman was awesome, man. His football knowledge. He and I, we were in sync. I mean, from the beginning.
Yeah. You're like the only person at NFL Network says that he's missed. You realize that, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he and I, we worked closely together.
We did. We got it done. Marshall, you mentioned that game at New Orleans. Week 11 to 1995, you guys lost 17-14 at the Saints.
Which was probably a big game for you. Was that your first time going to New Orleans as a professional football player?
Oh, man. I think so.
Because if it was just your third year and you were in a different conference, that was a homecoming for you.
Yeah, not so much.
Second year.
Real quick, before we take a break, because when we come back, we're going to have you become the arbiter of our no defense argument.
Okay.
What do you think of Fournette? What do you think of Leonard Fournette?
I love him. And I called it. I have, Trey, we call him Snake.
Yes, your buddy Snake.
He's an Alabama native, big fan. And usually, we'll root for hometown college teams, SEC football. And he called me talking smack. I say, listen, he's not going to have enough help from his quarterback in order for this to be a game. And that's kind of what happened.
Because you're hearing right now he's lost the Heisman based on what happened last week.
Good for him.
Are you saying there's a Gino Torretta that lurks in the college ranks right now?
Good for him. I'm happy for him.
Because you want to finish second in Heisman?
I'm just saying. It's an award he should not mind losing.
Okay. All right. Just want to, because he's a hometown guy. You're a hometown guy.
I'm just the best player in college doesn't always make the best pro in college.
Okay.
So we'll just go with that.
Let's take a break here. Marshall Faulk is here on the Rich Eisen Show. When we come back, speaking of grinding axes, we've got Brockman and Law having one that they would like you to make a ruling.
Okay.
That's next here on the Rich Eisen Show. Yes, the People's Court, Marshall Faulk, the people's bold prediction commissioner on NFL Game Day morning.
That's me.
Okay, you are now the official, I guess, Judge Berman in this situation.
Okay.
Because we have a commissioner of our no defense game of the week that all three of us choose here every Thursday in our DraftOps.com Celebrity League, where we choose a game where both teams need to be poor on defense, meaning lots of points in the game. We choose one player from it. Yesterday, Chris Law chose Tom Brady in what he says is the Giants-Patriots game in no defense. And what Eric Davis, our commissioner, said he allowed it, and then later on in the same segment, disallowed it.
That is correct.
Chris Brockman chose Aaron Rodgers from the Packers-Lions game as his no defense game of the week. It was allowed, and then a couple hours after the show, the commissioner, Eric Davis, tweets out a rejection, saying after further consideration, at Chris Brockman denied along with at Chris Law. You guys got to come better than that. Hashtag no defense. We have only 2 minutes left here. Chris Law, you have 30 seconds to make your statement. Do you want to hear statements, or have you already made a decision?
Just brief.
Sure.
brief.
I mean, there's a little place in the Oasis who has this as the highest scoring game of the weekend. You're looking at the number 1 total offense in the Patriots versus the number 5 total scoring offense in the Giants. Giants are averaging 40.5 points their last 2 games. Jamie Collins banged up for the Patriots, may not play. And look, we've seen what the Giants have been able to do to the Patriots the last 3 times they play. Maybe a little Tom Brady kryptonite. I think we have a shootout on our hands here. I think this is a no defense game, high scoring.
Okay.
Tom Brady should be allowed.
Just quick question for him. And you can figure this out while Law plead his case. The most points the Patriots have given up this season. That'll let you know if.
All right, Law, you figure that out. Okay, Brockman, now you have the floor here.
So I'm going Lions, Packers.
He knows what it is.
Okay, we know how terrible Detroit's defense is. 26th total D, 32nd, that's dead last in scoring. Now, the argument is whether Green Bay is bad at defense. Well, they are 23rd in total defense. That's not good. But let's look at the last 2 games. 68 points allowed, 637 passing yards. This game has very good potential to be a shootout.
There you go.
Patriots gave up 32 to the Bills, 27 to the Colts, and 23 to the Jets.
Yeah.
Now, may I you've got 40 seconds left.
Right. I don't think there's going to be a shootout in the Giants. It's always in the 20s that game's.
So you are upholding the commissioner's
I will
rejection.
uphold that one.
Chris
I
Brockman?
believe that Brockman this is the possible shootout that you have. It's always a high scoring game. Not to mention, I believe Cam had 4 drives of 4 80-yard drives in that game.
So is this a reversal?
Against, and I believe, and it always has been, if you watch Green Bay and Detroit, when their defenses are good, they put up a lot of points.
So we've got 5 seconds left. You are reversing?
Yes, I will reverse the Green Bay Detroit game.
Aaron Rodgers in, Brady out, Law.
And here's the thing,
you, sir.
it's a must-win for both quarterbacks. Must win.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.